Let's make 3D stars. For this project you will need 6 pieces of square paper. They can be computer paper, cardstock, even paper bags. If you have some thicker origami paper, that might work. They just need to be square. So if you don't have a paper cutter and can't cut them to size, you can just fold a regular 8.5 by 11 paper like this and trim along this line. And then you'll have a square. And don't worry about this fold because you'll need it anyway for the project. You also might want a ruler and a pencil. It depends on how fussy you are and how straight you can cut your lines. It's helpful to make one that you've marked out and then use it as a template for the others. So let's get started with how to fold them first. So you've got your square, you fold it into a triangle like this, and then you fold it again into a smaller triangle. So this is a really important point here. There are 2 ways you can flip your triangle once you start cutting. And one way is right and it will work out, and the other way is wrong, which I learned myself. So the way I'm holding this now, you've got this open part down, and this is where you're going to cut. If you flip it the other way and have the fold here, it won't work. So you need to have it like this. Now if you want to measure, for this 8.5 size, you want to make 3 cuts. So you can make a mark here. Let me flip it this way. Actually, this is the way it goes. So the point is over here and the open edges are here. So just roughly you could make a mark at 1 inch, 2, 3, and that's it. That's all you need because you only need to make 3 cuts. Then you don't have to get fussy about it, but I would just line this up. You don't have to measure everywhere. And then make a little mark about a 1/2 inch from the edge. So I'm just going to use this 6.5 right here, and then draw this all the way down. This is the fold, so you're going to cut almost all the way up to the fold. And you can see I wasn't really being precise there. But it doesn't matter at all. You can do this freehand with no lines or guides or anything. I just don't tend to cut straight, so that's why I like to use this. So your last one is going to be a real short line. You can just make a 1/2 inch mark there, and that was about a 1/2 inch, and that's where you want to stop your cuts. Now we've got our lines and we're ready to cut. So we're just going to cut up to that line and no further. That's about a 1/2 inch from the fold. And it doesn't have to be precise. You can do this project with kids. They just might need a little help figuring out about how wide to make their strips. If you don't have any guide marks at all, you could get some really skinny ones that wouldn't be strong enough. So when you open up this piece of square paper, you will see that you've got these graduating in size squares inside. So next we'll learn how to put it together. Okay, so for putting each of your 6 segments together, you can use white glue if you have some clips to hold it. One thing I've used that I've really liked is double-sided tape, but probably my favorite thing to use is a hot glue gun. So that's what I'll use today. I don't have double-sided tape. You can also use regular tape and just tape it. That's totally fine. You won't see it. So what you're going to do is curl this inward. You're going to start in the middle and curl this inward and glue it. So I'm using the hot glue, so I'm going to be careful not to burn my fingers. And on this first one, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here and then bring this over and just hold it. And you will feel heat from the back side, so just be careful about that if you decide to use the hot glue. Then you're going to flip the whole thing over and bring this one the other direction. And so on the rest of these, I usually just bring it up to that tip and try to kind of line it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a really forgiving project. So for these, I put on kind of just a square diamond shape of the hot glue, and then bring that up to the middle and hold it for a little bit. Any hot glue that comes out like that, you can pick off later, it won't be a problem. Then you flip it back the other way. Put some glue right here. This cardstock is a little bit on the thinner side, and I think it will be just fine. Like I said, people do use computer paper for these. They just don't hold up quite as long. All right, and then you have one more to go here. And it does get a little bit hard to handle when you get toward the end. And then lastly, put this one this way. So this is what it looks like when one segment is done. So you can see this is going to be a pretty big snowflake. You can use this size 8.5 by 8.5. You could use 6-inch origami paper. You could probably make smaller ones. It will just get a little bit difficult to do the centerpiece because it'll be so tiny, but give it a try. So next I'll show you how to put these segments together. First I wanted to show you the ones that I made from paper bags. So I just had some regular brown paper bags that I wanted to give a try, and I stamped it with the white. I had a roller stamp with white craft paint on one side, and then the other side had some words on it, so I sort of rolled over it with white paint, and then I rolled a different stamp on with some kind of pinkish red just to give it a little bit of color. Okay, now to put them together, I just wanted to show you guys, you can get fussy or keep things simple, but for these I decided to kind of alternate how they were folded. So I folded it the smallest one way for one, and then the other way for the other, just to give some variation. So if you have double-sided paper of some kind, you could think about that too. Now most people at this point, they just put together these 3 segments and staple it right in the middle. I don't have a stapler, so I'm going to hot glue mine. So basically I'm just putting a little hot glue right in this corner, and then quickly lining up this corner and holding it. And then if you're using a stapler, you would just join these 2 points and staple right through there, but I will use the hot glue. Now to give your snowflake a little more strength, you can connect wherever they're touching, and just find a spot to connect them, and you can staple right in here. The staples work fine. I've used them. You don't even notice them, but you could also just hot glue those points together and just go all the way around doing all the connections there. And there you have it. You've made a 6-pointed 3D snowflake. To finish it off and hang it, you can just punch a hole in one of the sections and thread through a string and tie a knot and hang it up. Hang it up in your window.